Well, this is going to be another project that we're doing. This is our project Silverado, and what we've got is down in here, down in the very bottom there, two exhaust manifold bolts are broke off. So this exhaust manifold has to come off, and we've got to get those exhaust bolts out. We'll show you how we do that, and I'll start it up here and you can hear the exhaust leak as we get over here. That's our typical Chevrolet. We've done a bunch of these in the shop. Alright, well, we're going to be doing this exhaust leak. We have two broken manifold bolts in the head. So we've got it jacked up in the air. We've got jack stands, a couple of them on either side. And what we're going to do next is this inner fender well has got to come out. There's push-in plastic rivets and poppets we call them, or whatever. There's all different things for them. And that'll give us access to back in here. This is the exhaust manifold right here. We got to pull the EGR tube off, spark plugs out, and then we'll start taking out the exhaust manifold itself, and we'll show how we do the broken bolts. And kind of strange, this shock boot kind of twisted all up like that. And so, but anyway, our next step is pulling this inner fender well out. Okay, so we got the inner fender well out, and this gives us a pretty good access to this exhaust manifold here. And we can see up in here, there's one exhaust bolt bulk, and let's see if I can get the camera in here. Not sure, but there's another one broke back in here. So this is a very, very common problem with these vehicles, with these Chevys, and we've done a bunch of them. And unfortunately, it's always the broken bolts are always the ones that are the hardest ones to get to. It can't be like one here and one here. So anyway, we've got to try to get the rest of these bolts out. Sometimes they come out, and most of the time they don't. Most of the time they break off, or some of them break off, or we end up cutting them because the heads will be rounded off, and so we end up cutting them off with a torch and getting them out. So that's our next step. And plus the EGR tube, we got to take this, disconnect this. This goes into the exhaust manifold, and all the Chevrolet has individual coil packs on this 5.3, and so we'll get these spark plugs out, and while we're at it, we'll do a tune-up onto it, and since we're right here. And I also have an engine code of a O2 sensor, so we've got to check that out. And while we're at it, we might as well take care of that too. It may or may not be a bad EGR valve. I got to check the code. If it's this O2 sensor that's right here, is a possibility, because it's sucking air from this leak here. If it sucks enough air, it will pollute the airstream and give this EGR, or this O2 sensor, a bad reading. It'll be out of range, and once it goes out of range, it doesn't matter why it's out of range as far as the computer goes. it'll just say that it's out of range, and it'll throw a code. So sometimes by fixing what you know is broke, the broken bolts up here, by fixing what you know is bad, it will sometimes fix what the engine codes or something else of that nature. So we got to go from there. I got to see which O2 sensor. I got to scan it and see which O2 sensor is bad. And if it's that one there, I'm suspecting those broken bolts might be the problem. All right. Well, what we're doing now is we're going to be pulling the spark plugs out. That's one of our next processes in this repair. Is pulling all the spark plugs out so we don't break them, even though we're going to be replacing them. I love that when that happens. I guess we'll do this from underneath here. Always take a look at the condition of the spark plug as we take them out. It gives us an indication of what kind of shape the motor's in as we take it apart. As I said before, this has got 300,000 miles onto it. It does not burn a quart of oil in between oil changes. I change the oil every 3,000 miles. Spark plugs are firing not bad. Huge gap on the plug, so probably gain a couple miles per hour, miles per gallon. It's been a little while since this was tuned up. Without looking at the maintenance records, I can't tell you how many miles it's been. I should probably do a compression check and maybe a leak down test onto it, but this has been an extremely reliable vehicle, so Even with this cover off, doesn't give us a lot of room here. Not horrible, but they definitely do need to be changed. Alright, spark plugs are out. We don't have to worry too awful much about the spark plug firing order, because they're, like I said before, they're individual coil packs. Each cylinder has its own coil pack, so it's right above the cylinder that it runs. So we're in good shape there. Next thing now, we gotta pull out the dipstick tube bolt that holds it. I don't believe we're going to get these bolts off for this dipstick tube, but we're going to try. And these nuts off in this exhaust manifold, we're going to probably have to heat and pull off that way. That'll be the easiest way, or the best way to do that. Bolts for this EGR tube are pretty rusted.